one of the first ways that you can help stem the tide of the proliferation of inconsistent data is identify all data entry points and lock them down. Really control how data comes into your organization, and have a consistent way in which you're going to allow people to enter information. I think that if you're simply allowing your account reps to enter accounts, new accounts on their own, that's a recipe for disaster. I think you need to have a consistent way where there's a matching mechanism so you can avoid duplication and proliferation of poor data. The second point I think is you need to have consistent management of that data. So data changes on a constant basis, even more so now with the Great Resign going on and people shifting jobs, shifting roles, shifting companies, coming out of the workforce as well. So the rate of change has gone up dramatically in the last year. So you need to have consistent management and governance of that data. And third, I really feel like you need to align and partner with third-party data providers that can assist in the augmentation, enrichment, and the management of that data, not just from what's active, but what's archived. And how do you go back and find those things that so you can actually measure the rate of change. And if something goes wrong, you can always have that reserve to go back to and restart if you had, a catastrophic event of some kind.
Oh, that makes a ton of sense. Okay, that's great. Brooke, how does that look either at Checkout or the previous businesses you've been at? Are you guys following that same methodology?
Well, so we do some of the things Sean said that I believe is principles within any Salesforce organization that I've been involved in. We absolutely do enrichment on every account record that's created in Salesforce. And I'm very hesitant to do bulk uploads that probably anyone that's been in RevOps has gotten from sales. I need to import these 20,000 accounts that have no real clean data on them. We really shy away from doing the mass imports that will turn your good clean data into dirty data. We do allow sales reps to create accounts on their own, but we also coincidentally use D&B to do enrichment of our accounts in Salesforce. So for standard account demographic information, we use D&B. We use some other vendors for more technographic information that's specific to the payments world, because that really helps us with understanding, where are we selling into, what is the target accounts that we're going after. So we do make sure our scope of kind of our known universe is in Salesforce at the higher levels, the kind of the tier 1 level big merchants. But yeah, I mean, we deploy things like validation rules. I don't let an account be created without a country value. We require a website value. That's very important if you're trying to dedupe accounts. Run weekly dedupe reports, and a lot of it can pick up if the country and URL are the same. It's pretty easy to identify dupes. So as long as we're getting, good data coming in, we can keep it pretty clean. There are regions, we have a big operations in the Middle East, a big operations in APAC. And so, enrichment data is definitely better in North America and Europe. So it's never, it's the unending, it's the unending putting fingers in the dam, but there always seems like there's a leak or two. But we have very structured as far as what we allow to come into Pardot. So we have an agreed upon set of data standards for what's allowed to come in from Pardot and then into Salesforce. And so if we have any sort of lead form or other way that we're capturing data, we make sure that we're capturing base level information that enables us to do things like analyze leads by region, route to the right BDR, and all the information that's needed. For me, I am still always surprised at how many people don't do this, but every Salesforce org I've ever been in, day 2, I probably am turning on state and country pick lists. Because it to me is like the difference between having a clean data set where you've normalized all of your country values and you can use that data for formulas and create a formula for territories or regions or whatever else you want to do. And there are still vendors that integrate to Salesforce that don't work well with state and country pick lists. But for me, it's table stakes. You have to be able to work with a standardized set of data, and we have state and country pick lists on our lead forms, and everything comes in and matches and cleans, and it's informed all the way through the rest of our data funnel. And I mean, for me, that's like my base underlying thing. Whenever a new Salesforce admin says, "Oh, can you help me?" My first question is, "Have you turned on state and country pick lists?" Because you need to do that ASAP. Because the longer you wait, the dirtier the data gets, and then you have to go clean it up later. So yeah,
it's the foundation of master data. We work with companies and they call it the sacred 7. It's these 7 fields that you have to have consistency around an account record. State, country fields, just like that. And that helps establish that core foundation of data quality upon which you can build visibility, insight, and opportunity identification.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we when I first joined, the gal that runs Demand Gen joined right when I had joined. And the first project we did in the first 3 or 4 months was essentially defining the data dictionary that we were going to use across our systems. So we have a master Google sheet that is, what are our standard country values with ISO codes? We have our standard lead source values. We have agreed upon these lead source values are sales source, these are marketing source, these are partner source. So then we bucket that all in Salesforce, and we've all agreed on, the standard lead source values, country values, a number of different things, how we define our campaign types. We have standardizations for campaign types, subtypes, campaign member statuses. So, there's an app you can get on the App Exchange that allows you to standardize campaign member statuses, so you don't have to do it manually on every campaign. So we've set this up on the campaign highest level on campaign type. So if it's a webinar, it's registered, attended, no show, that sort of thing. And we always have that as a default for every campaign. So it's all pre-built in Salesforce. We have those defaults pre-built. And then we do a lot of that. We use all of that information to do lead scoring. So now we have very clean data set around, registered, no showed, they're in this region. We have core countries and non-core countries. So core countries being the ones that we actively outbound target to, non-core, core countries get a higher score, different industry, different size of merchant. And so we've automated a lot of it, but it was, the first 6 months, my Demand Gen partner and myself were in a room kind of saying like, okay, what are the lead sources that we agree on? Or what is the, campaign types? And does this make sense? And then she would define what she needed, and then we'd go build it, and then we'd go back. And so we spent a lot of time in the early days getting the data foundation built. But we wouldn't have been able to do all the things we've done after that if we hadn't first built that data layer, that data foundation.
Sure. Yeah, Dave. Brooke is on the bleeding edge here. She it's impressive what you guys have put together. That's great to hear.
Yeah, she's an absolute expert. And I know why that's so important too, because I know when you're trying to run reports in Salesforce and trying to bucket things into broader categories, inbound, outbound, that sort of thing, that if you don't have those pick lists defined or your categories defined or your campaigns, that all of a sudden reporting becomes so much more different. Yeah. So I think that's smart.
And then everyone that runs a report gets a different set of data, right? So then I see that even now, right? Depending on filters and other things you do. So trying to make sure everyone's looking at the same data set. We've standardized it all in for us. Yeah.